TIFU Mistaken potatoes for other food. Work paid for a trip to Irvine, CA. We had a fancy gala at a really nice country club. They served dinner with beef Wellington. I have never had it before. It was a self-serve buffet. Nothing was labeled. There was a bowl next to the beef Wellington. It looked like mashed potatoes. Although a bit chunky, it should have clued me in that it was not due to the bowl size. I got a really big scoop of it and plopped it right in the center of my plate. Next to it was a bowl of gravy, roughly the same size as the one the potatoes were in. I covered the potatoes in gravy, sat down and began eating. I tend to eat one food at a time until it was done. So I was eating the other stuff first. Some stuff was touching each other on the sides. I kept tasting something spicy, but I didn't think anything of it. I go to eat the mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes, so I took a really big bite. Immediately I could barely breathe. I grabbed my fancy cloth napkin and tried to spit it all out. But it just kept coming. It was all stuck in my mouth. I was trying to keep the others at the table from seeing. It took all of my composure not to scream in pain. Turns out it was horseradish. There were no mashed potatoes being served. The gravy was supposed to be for the beef Wellington. TLD or mixed up and ate horseradish that I thought was mashed potatoes. My sinuses feel for you. Potatoes. I've never heard of this food. That sounds like when I mistook wasabi for some crushed avocado. Do not eat the free pistachio ice cream. This is really funny to me. Because I worked an event tonight with a buffet. The coordinator was the one who set it up, while I did the bar. But later I noticed that she had put food identification cards out for everything but the mashed potatoes. I wondered to her if it was misplaced, and she said that she couldn't find one, and had decided not to print another since she thought they would be a self-evident offering. In fairness, it was an entire hotel pan full, so I guess it was the most likely option. Still, I thought it was funny to think of all the things that it might have been. Like mashed turnips, or parsnips, or grits. I never thought about horseradish though. I feel you. At my grandparents' 50th they had prime rib. I saw a bowl of whipped cream, so I popped it down onto a bowl of fruit. It was horseradish. The first strawberry almost took me out. Even if you love it, it's not a good surprise bite. What is a potato? OMG, I have done this exact thing before. I was at a conference reception in New Orleans a few years back. There was a meat carving station and then a bowl full of what looked like creamy pureed potatoes. Whole mouth full of horseradish. Near projectile vomiting. Absolutely horrific all around. Potatoes? Horseradish. I never tried horseradish and gravy together, but I like horseradish so much I'm gonna try it next chance I get. My Austrian grandmother made her own and I've never had any as good as hers. I started eating it at about 5 or 6 years old. Hers would open up your sinuses for sure. I have a friend who went on her first business trip out of college. At a group dinner, she ordered steak tartare. Well, my friend only ever liked beef well done. Other food for potatoes. / Had a buddy do that with a bowl of wasabi thinking it was guacamole. When I lived in the UK, I was served swede and thought it was mashed potatoes. But it was swede and I had no idea what that was. And no one could explain it because they didn't know the American word for it. It is rutabaga. I can't blame you. I get it's beef Wellington. Very common to come with horseradish. But who serves horseradish in a sterno big enough to hold potatoes or even a main? Like a large bowl would be too much for a buffet. Oh man. Been there with my kiddos. I'll never forget taking my daughter Mila, name changed, out for sushi when she was around 2. At that age, they're so curious about everything, tastes, textures, the works. Mila was no different, always sticking her hands in my food and getting into whatever she could reach. We'd just gotten our rolls and I was prepping a bite of Cali roll for her when I glanced down to see her tiny hand wrapped around a big old glob of wasabi. Time seemed to slow down as I watched her bring it towards her open mouth. Mila, no, I cried, but it was too late. She chomped down as her eyes defiantly stared me down. Now, wasabi is no joke for adult taste buds, let alone a toddler's. The look of shock and betrayal on her face as she processed that intense heat was priceless. At first, she just froze, as the dragon green ball of fiery spite registered, then let out an ear-piercing shriek that could have been overheard in the 9th level of hell and had the whole restaurant staring. I scooped her up and started patting her back, as snot and slime dripped over my shoulder, trying not to laugh at the same time because I felt so bad. It took a good 10 minutes of cuddles, milk, and distraction before the tears stopped. But man, you could tell she'd learned her lesson. For months afterward, she'd give me the stink eye anytime I added wasabi to my sushi. I think it scarred her from trying new foods for a while too. Kids, they'll put just about anything in their mouths without a second thought. All you can do is try to keep them away from the really spicy stuff. I'm just glad Mila survived her wasabi encounter with nothing worse than a red face and a funny story for us to laugh about now. I ate horseradish sauce with my fries today. Cleared my sinuses lol. Any virus that was even thinking of taking up residence in your sinuses is either dead or fleeing for its life. I once doused some microwave egg rolls in vanilla extract, thinking it was soy sauce. Not only was it absolutely disgusting, but it made the scent of anything vanilla give me headaches for years afterwards. I also made a similar error once, thinking horseradish was bread sauce.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.